Nobody knew. Nobody asked. Nobody noticed. 10 years later, nobody could catch up. You know that guy? The one who talks about money the most. The one who posts the trip, shows the watch, tells the whole table what he paid for the bottle. Everyone knows what he has. Everyone sees what he drives. Everyone knows his financial story because he makes sure of it. Every week. On every platform. In every room. He is not building wealth. He is performing it. And the cost of the performance is quietly eating everything he earns. Then there is the other type. No posts. No announcements. No table stories. Just quiet decisions, made consistently, over years nobody was watching. This is the silent wealth method. And most people have never heard of it, because the people who use it never talk about it. Most people think wealth looks like something. A car. A neighborhood. A watch you can identify from across the room. A vacation that exists primarily to be photographed. We have been trained, by advertising, by social media, by the people around us, to believe that money is supposed to be visible. That if you cannot see it, it is not real. And that belief, that wealth must be performed to count, is exactly what keeps most people from building any. Silent wealth is the deliberate practice of keeping your financial life completely private, while quietly, consistently building real net worth in the background. It is not about being poor. It is not about deprivation or punishment. It is about making a clear-eyed decision about what the goal actually is. Is the goal the image or the account? Is the goal what people see when they look at you or what you see when you log in? Because those two goals require completely different behavior. And most people, without realizing it, have already chosen the wrong one. The book The Millionaire Next Door spent years studying real American millionaires, not the ones on television, not the ones posting on social media, but the ones who quietly accumulated wealth over decades. What they found was almost shocking. The majority of real millionaires drive used cars. They live in average neighborhoods. They wear unremarkable clothes. They shop at normal stores. Their neighbors, in most cases, have absolutely no idea. That is not a coincidence. That is not modesty. That is the method working exactly as designed. The less energy you spend maintaining an image of wealth, the more resources, time, money, attention, go toward building actual wealth. The equation is simple. The discipline to live it is not. The first principle of silent wealth is the one that makes people most uncomfortable when they first hear it. They don't tell anyone. Not colleagues. Not friends. In many cases, not even family. Not because they are dishonest. Not because they are cold. But because they have watched, carefully, what happens the moment someone knows. The moment people know what you have, the dynamic changes. Not slightly. Permanently. Relatives you rarely hear from start reaching out. Friends begin calculating your share of shared expenses differently. Some people will ask directly. Loans, investments, contributions to things you were never part of before. Others will not ask. They will simply expect. A nicer gift. A picked-up tab. A generosity that was never discussed but is now somehow owed. And here is the psychological damage that almost nobody talks about. Once people know, you start spending to maintain their image of you. Not your image. Theirs. You buy the thing not because you want it, but because they expect you to have it now. You pay for the dinner not because it was your idea, but because you are the one who can. You upgrade not because you needed to, but because the version of you they have constructed in their minds requires it. This is a financial leak that has no bottom, because expectations never shrink. They only grow. Silence removes that pressure completely. Nobody is waiting to see the upgrade. Nobody is counting on the dinner. Nobody has built a version of you in their head that requires maintenance. You stop performing, and the money that was going toward the performance goes into the account instead. One financial advisor studied clients over 15 years. The ones who talked about their wealth most openly were consistently worth significantly less at retirement than the ones who said almost nothing. The correlation was not small. It was one of the strongest patterns in the entire dataset. Silence is not secrecy. Silence is strategy. Most people have one stream of income, one job, one employer, one person in one meeting room who can end their financial life with a single conversation they did not see coming. The silent wealth practitioner looks at that structure and sees it clearly for what it is: complete financial fragility dressed up as stability. A paycheck feels like security. It is not security. It is dependency. And dependency, by definition, means someone else holds the decision that determines your life. Silent wealth practitioners build toward multiple income streams from the very beginning. Not because they are greedy, because they understand that fragility is the real enemy, not income level. It starts small. A dividend account that generates $40 a month. A skill they offer on weekends. A course they sell once and forget about. None of these is significant at first. That is not the point. The point is that they are real. Each one is a thin wire running alongside the main cable. And when the main cable gets cut, and for many people it eventually does, the wires are already there. By year 3, the second stream is not significant. But something has shifted psychologically. You stop fearing the single conversation. Not because you became fearless, but because you became less dependent. That shift changes how you work, how you negotiate, how much you tolerate. When you do not desperately need the yes, you become the kind of person who gets better terms, better roles, better opportunities. Not because you pretended to have options, because you actually built them. You get a raise. For most people, this is what happens. The lifestyle immediately expands to consume it. A slightly better apartment, because now it is within reach. A newer car, because the old one suddenly feels inadequate. More expensive habits that settle in quietly. A gym that costs more. Restaurants that cost more. A wardrobe that costs more. The raise arrives. The raise disappears. And at the end of the month, the feeling is identical to before, because the spending grew at exactly the same rate as the income. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. It is the single most effective wealth destroyer that almost nobody talks about, because it does not feel like destruction. It feels like reward. You worked harder. You earned more. Why should you not enjoy it? That logic is not wrong. It is just expensive, because the enjoyment costs you the compounding. And the compounding, over 10 years, is worth more than anything you could buy with the raise. Silent wealth practitioners treat every raise as an investment event, not a lifestyle event. The income goes up. The life stays exactly the same. The gap between what comes in and what goes out, that gap is the entire game. In year 1, this feels like discipline. In year 3, it starts feeling like strategy. In year 7, when the compound growth begins to accelerate visibly, it starts feeling like the only rational thing anyone could have done. 2 people, same starting salary of $54,000. One upgrades with every raise. One does not. After 10 years, the one who did not upgrade has over $300,000 more in invested assets. $300,000 that nobody sees. In accounts that are never posted. In a life that looks identical from the outside. That invisibility is not a side effect. It is the point. Here is something nobody says clearly enough. Everything you own also owns a piece of you. A larger house means more hours spent maintaining it. A second car means more hours insuring it, servicing it, thinking about it. More possessions mean more time organizing them, moving them, worrying about them, replacing them when they break. Most people do not calculate this cost when they make the purchase. They see the price tag. They do not see the time tag attached to the back of it. Silent wealth practitioners think about every significant purchase in hours, not dollars. If your effective hourly rate after tax is $25, that watch is not $1,200. It is 48 hours of your finite life. 2 full work weeks. That refrain does not make them cheap. It makes them precise. It sharpens the question from "Can I afford this?" to "Is this worth this many hours of my one life?" And once you start asking that question honestly, the answer changes on most things. The silent wealthy do not have more things. They have more mornings. More Tuesdays that belong entirely to them. More afternoons where nobody has a claim on the next 4 hours. That is the product they have been buying, quietly, for years. Not the watch. Not the car. Not the apartment. The morning. The Tuesday. The freedom to decide what today is for. And that product does not depreciate. It does not require insurance. It does not need maintenance. Once purchased, it compounds. Here is the trap that visible wealth builds around most people so gradually they never notice it happening. The expensive apartment requires a salary. The salary requires a job. The job requires you to show up, stay in line, accept what you are given, because the apartment needs the salary, and the salary needs the job. Every status symbol becomes a chain disguised as a reward. The more you accumulate for display, the more dependent you become on the income that funds the display. The more trapped you are inside the very success you worked so hard to signal. Silent wealth practitioners make a fundamentally different decision. Not because they do not appreciate quality, but because they are purchasing something more valuable than attention. They are purchasing the ability to say no. No to the job that disrespects them. No to the city that drains them. No to any situation that no longer serves the life they are building. No is only truly free when you do not need the yes. And you only stop needing the yes when you have built something that does not require it. That is the end goal of every principle in this method. Not the number. Not the account balance. The walk. The ability to leave the room without looking back. There are 2 types of people building wealth right now. One is making sure everyone knows. The other is making sure nobody does. 10 years from now, both of them will have a story to tell. One will be loud. One will be quiet. Only one of them will have ended up somewhere genuinely different.